you have been able to understand that the traumas you had as a child could be affecting who you have become as an adult. Today, we'll be talking about how to go about healing from adverse childhood experiences as an adult. Before we continue, I'd like to let you know that this is not a medical advice. This is not a therapy. This is a self-help and educational series that you might apply before you seek for any other help if they fail. But I can assure you, if you apply them, if you follow them strictly and dedicatedly, you will save yourself a lot of trouble. Welcome to today's episode of Wellbeing with Neka, where we advocate for mental well-being and psychological well-being. We also advocate for nutritional health and any other thing that will affect your well-being. The first step to healing from the traumas of adverse childhood experience as an adult is to learn to forgive yourself. Now, when we say forgive yourself or forgive your past, a lot of people think it means forgive the people who played a role in the adverse experiences people had, or they should forget about them. No. There is a difference between forgiving yourself, forgiving the people involved, and forgetting what happened to you. Let me break this down. For you to heal from your past, you have to forgive yourself, your role, the part you played or you assumingly played in that past. A lot of people hang on to the fact that they were even in that past, sorry. They blame themselves, they blame their parents, they blame whoever. They just go on, not letting go, not forgiving themselves. They don't realize that the more you ruminate, that's the word in psychology, the more you ruminate over these past experiences, you will probably not be able to ever let go. First self-help step to healing from adverse childhood experiences is to forgive yourself. You were just a child. You didn't know better. Even if you did things wrongly, you didn't know better. You were not guided better. Even if some of those things were seemingly or assumedly your fault, you were just a child. So the first step to healing from adverse childhood experiences is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself of the grudge, because the longer you hold on to that grudge, the more locked in you become, the more intense your outcomes as an adult become. Forgiving yourself might take a long time or a short time, depending on how much time and effort you devote to doing that. The next step is what we're going to talk about now, which is avoiding and identifying your triggers, or should I say, identifying and avoiding your triggers. If you have been following up on this series, you know how adverse childhood experiences make people react to events and situations. Then you need to make a mental and actual effort to keep away from what triggers you. What are those things that make you burst out in anger? What are those things that make you sweat? What are those things that throw you into depression? What are those things or circumstances that make you want to exert your authority to show people that you're no longer who they thought you would become because of your childhood experiences? Note them. You might need to keep a journal or a diary. Note them so that you begin to avoid them or prepare yourself on how to react better to them. Don't be known as that woman who is always shouting. Don't be known as that man who is always oppressive, who wants to show off who they are or show off authority. Don't be that person. Keep a mental note, keep a journal of what triggers you or what reminds you of the trauma you went through as a child. When you know this, you'll be able to avoid those triggers or work your emotions around them. There are people who the success stories of other people trigger. There are people who happy marriages trigger. There are people who relationships trigger generally. There are people who the opposite gender trigger because of diverse experiences they have had. If you're one of those, if these things trigger you, if they remind you of what you went through as a child, if they remind you of your resolve, which comes with so much energy, you need to take note of them and avoid them. The third self help approach to healing from adverse childhood experience is learning emotion regulation. As a child, it's excusable if you cannot regulate your emotion because you are already in those situations that are adverse, or maybe because you're a child, it's excusable. And the tumultuous upbringing or environment you're in can be used as an excuse. But as an adult who has identified that these things are affecting your adulthood, you need to learn emotion regulation. If you found out that your adverse childhood experiences make you anxious, make you angry, or bring out some negative parts of you which are not very palatable, you need to learn emotion regulation. Ways you can learn emotion regulation. Number one is by being mindful, or what we call mindfulness in psychology. You need to start practicing positivity. You need to be positive. You need to lean more towards the positive sides of life: gratitude, prayerfulness, praise. You need to adopt that as a way of life. It will really help you in regulating your emotions. Another way to regulate emotion is by practicing breathing. You have to breathe before you react. You take deep breaths. I'm sure you must have seen some people who dramatically do this when they are tense or when they are triggered. They literally breathe to calm themselves down. So be it in public spaces or in private spaces, be it on social media or anywhere else, before you blurt out what is in your mind and those things that are mostly guided by your childhood experiences, you need to breathe. You need to breathe. You need to constantly breathe so that you can speak more constructively or react more constructively. Another way to practice emotion regulation is by physical activities and exercising. These bring out the happy hormone called serotonin. So if you find out that you're triggered, you have the tendency to react constantly due to adverse childhood experience, I want to suggest that you make exercising or physical activity a daily part of your life. This will constantly make sure you do not run low on the happy hormone called serotonin. The fourth self-help approach to healing from adverse childhood experiences is by challenging the negative notions you had of yourself as a child. As an adult, you have the power, the will to challenge whatever it is that your childhood trauma has made you believe. Have you been made to believe you're unlovable? Have you been made to believe you're a failure? Have you been made to think that the world is an unsafe place? Have you been made to believe that you cannot trust people? You need to begin to challenge these negative mindset, these negative thoughts that have been embedded in your psyche. Because as a child, yes, these things have been with you. These things have been made to grow inside you. But because you have seen these videos or because you have watched this series and you have identified some of these negative traits that you have grown up with, it is time for you to start to deconstruct them. It is time for you to start changing your mind about these notions. You're not a failure. You do not have to work extra hard for people to appreciate you. You do not have to force yourself into to be an embodiment of what you are not, because somewhere in your past someone said you cannot do this. If you have watched to this point, if you have enjoyed this series, if you have identified anybody who could have been affected by childhood trauma, please endeavor to subscribe to this channel, share, comment, so that more people will benefit from what we do here, which is advocating for good mental health and psychological well-being. And now to the last approach. Most times, adverse childhood experiences make people grow up thinking that other people cannot be trusted. And this makes them either stonewall, become anxious, become rude, become unapproachable, or any other negative attributes they might start showing up. But to heal from this as an adult, you have to build trustworthy adult relationships. You have to open up yourself to be loved, to love, You have to be sincere to your feelings. Yes, it's not everybody you will trust. People will fail people. People keep failing people. Humans keep humaning. Humans will always human. But you have to get yourself to that point where you are open to having very good adult relationship. Now, there's a common saying that goes, love heals all things. It might sound cliche, but it is true. True love, either from friends, either platonic friends or romantic relationships, will heal most people of adverse childhood experiences. Doesn't mean you should chase after everything, because that is one thing adverse childhood experience does to some people. It makes them crawl for love, make them beg for love. Now, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, if you have forgiven your past and yourself, if you have practiced mindfulness to manage your triggers, if you have identified your triggers, you are halfway healed. You are supposed to open yourself to good friendships that will help you heal. Because believe it or not, true love, good environment, mingling with the right people will help you heal from adverse childhood experiences. We have come to the end of this wonderful series. It's been in 4 parts or 3 parts. If you've missed anyone, please don't want to go back and watch them one after the other. I believe you will be healed if you have been languishing on the trauma of adverse childhood experiences. My name is Neka, as you may well know. I am a mental health and well-being advocate, and all I do is teach you things that will make you live better and happier. See you, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.